The Rio Grande Plan is hard to describe. I've always introduced it by saying it consists of 3 parts.
1. Build a new route for trains through downtown Salt Lake City that does not include at-grade crossings. These crossings are dangerous. They slow down trains, they divide the east side from the west side of the city, and they make travel through Salt Lake City unreliable for everyone. A new route through the city without any at-grade crossings will solve all of these problems at once. 2. Restore the Rio Grande Depot as the central transit station for Salt Lake City and for the state of Utah. The best comparison is Denver Union Station, where trains from across Colorado will soon connect directly into the state's economic, cultural, and political capital. Other major train stations serve similar purposes in other states, but here in Utah, we have a bare concrete plaza below noisy freeway ramps, pushed several blocks away from anywhere people want to go. We are squandering our enormous transit potential because both the facilities and the location of Salt Lake Central Station are terrible. The historic Rio Grande Depot solves both of those problems at once. 3. Open dozens of acres of former industrial land for new urban development. Since we won't need the old rail yards anymore, all of this land, between 50 and 75 acres, can be sold to developers who will build apartments and homes and businesses and neighborhoods for thousands of people and generate hundreds of millions of dollars in annual revenue. This development will repay the cost of construction multiple times over, making the Rio Grande Plan self-financing once construction is complete.
For years, we've used these 3 objectives as a way of explaining what the Rio Grande Plan does, but explaining it in pieces only gets us a part of the way to what the Rio Grande Plan actually is.
In 2007, Steve Jobs got on stage to explain his new product. He said Apple would sell 3 things: a full-screen iPod to play music, a cell phone to make calls, and something he called an internet communication device.
3 things: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone.
Outside of the tech world, few people realized how big of a development the iPhone actually was. Today, we all rely daily, if not hourly, on our smartphones and our apps. They are the basic ecosystem in which we live our lives and connect with society. But in 2007, some vocal critics made a big point of saying things like, "I already have an iPod to play my music. I don't want or need the other features." Or, "I like my basic flip phone the way it is. I don't want or need anything fancy." Of course, today, those same critics have either switched to using a smartphone like the rest of us, or they got left alone and behind as society moved on without them.
As we've worked for years to pitch the Rio Grande Plan to various governments and agencies, we've pitched the parts that we thought would be most important to them. Salt Lake City is desperate to solve its east-west divide, so we emphasize the potential to get rid of all the railroad crossings downtown. For UDOT and UTA, we emphasize the benefits of faster and more reliable passenger rail service through downtown. To the inland port, we emphasize the benefits of the entire freight network, since disruptions to freight rail in downtown have severe ripple effects throughout the state. And, of course, to developers, we talk about the potential business case for developing dozens of empty acres right on the edge of downtown Salt Lake City.
But every time we run into the same problem, the answer will invariably be something like, "Sure, your Rio Grande Plan does benefit me, but it's much too big. It has too many other features that don't benefit my agency. I like my basic flip phone. It is cheaper and fits within my agency's mandate. I don't need anything so fancy." What we've found is that no agency or government, except the Utah state government, is large enough to be a champion for the Rio Grande Plan. That's not surprising. We never expected, say, the Inland Port Authority to have any desire to run a train station, or Salt Lake City's government to care about regional rail connectivity. No, the Rio Grande Plan absolutely does work for everyone, but only when everyone is willing to work together. But what has been so incredibly disappointing to us is that the various agencies and governments have refused to even talk with each other. None of them has made any indication that they would even support the plan as a participating partner. Everyone has acted entirely independently, and that selfish independence is threatening to further divide our capital city in horrible ways. A prime example is 2nd South. Currently, it is an at-grade crossing with 4 tracks, 2 for freight trains and 2 for UTA frontrunner. Under a current proposal, this would be turned into an underpass, but only for cars. The hill to get down below the tracks requires an 8% grade, which is nearly twice as steep as is allowed by the Americans with Disabilities Act. So instead, pedestrians will not be allowed in the car tunnel and will still cross the tracks at grade. A pedestrian bridge, similar to the one built at 300 North, will also be built here for those times when freight trains are stopped and the crossing remains blocked. But climbing 45 steps up and then 45 steps back down in the summer heat or in the icy winter is such a deterrent that we know that someone is going to keep climbing through the stopped freight cars. Then, the moment one of those car climbers is killed, or even just injured, that will be the end for the at-grade pedestrian crossing, and everyone will be forced to climb 45 steps up and 45 steps back down, making the east-west divide worse than before. But maybe some art will help. The pedestrian crossings won't be so bad anymore if we just add some colors to make the people feel more welcome, right?
Here I am outside on the exposed concrete with no sign of shade. It's over 106 degrees as I'm climbing this hill to get up and over the railroad tracks. Is this art doing anything to help me? No, it's not. You know what would really be helpful? Now here we are, 1 block away from the bridge. In fact, you can see it there in the background. Except now, instead of being up high on an exposed bridge in the full sun, we're on ground level, and there are buildings, and there are trees, and there's a neighborhood here. I feel so much more comfortable here in the shade instead of being up on that bridge. But now, what if we could move the tracks so that there would be no need to have a bridge? The entire street, from Main Street out to the Jordan River, could be just like this, with trees, and with neighborhoods, and with buildings, and with people. That's a place where I would really feel comfortable walking, and that's how you solve the east-west divide.
I could make hours and hours of comparisons like this. The city is, quote-unquote, solving the blocked crossings on the east-west tracks by placing electric signs at each one, letting people know how long to expect the crossing to be closed for. UTA plans to, quote-unquote, solve the terrible amenities at its central station by building their new office building there and letting passengers hang out in the lobby. The redevelopment agency of Salt Lake City is still trying to get developers interested in their Rio Grande district, which is the empty dirt lots west of the Rio Grande Depot, despite the fact that nobody can reach those parcels because both the freeway ramps and the Rio Grande Depot itself block the paths to get to those parcels. UDOT does have plans to grade separate at least the frontrunner commuter trains in the far future, but they plan to spend at least $2 billion on individual grade separations, like more underpasses for cars and bridges for pedestrians, except at every single crossing through the city. The list goes on and on as each agency works in their own little box, solving their own little problems, which, altogether, add up to a miserable and fragmented city where few people will want to live or visit.
If the Rio Grande Plan is to succeed, it will need 2 things. First, it will need politicians at the city, county, and state level who can recognize an iPhone when they see one, and who will commit to the Rio Grande Plan even when the individual agencies do not want to relinquish their power. But that will only happen if, 2, we have a majority of the electorate aware of and supporting the Rio Grande Plan, and who can elect politicians who will become champions for the Rio Grande Plan.
Do we live in a bureaucracy run by state agencies given authority over our lives? No, we live in a democracy where we, the people, can speak up and shape the world that we want to live in. Do we work for the government, or does the government work for us?
If you would like to join us as a volunteer, or even just to show your support, please visit us at riograndeplansaltlakecity.org. Or, better still, you can write to our elected representatives at every level of government and let them know that you support the Rio Grande Plan and that you hope for real action soon.
Just like critics of the iPhone getting left behind by technology and society, the dangers for Salt Lake City and all of Utah are very real if the Rio Grande Plan is ignored. Downtown, the cultural and economic hub of the state, cannot keep growing by highways alone. It will need better transit and better trains, and the current station we have is not up to the job. Interstate 15 is the backbone of transportation up and down the Wasatch Front, but it is facing nearly daily congestion failures no matter how many billions and billions of dollars we spend adding new lanes. UTA's frontrunner commuter train could add capacity similar to 4 more lanes on I-15. But if the train line gets shut down every time there is a near miss at the crossings downtown, then the train will become just as unreliable as the freeway is. Major events like conventions or sporting competitions still bring big business to the entire state. But if we don't keep up with the expectations set by other rising cities who build infrastructure that citizens actually want to use, well, then we will absolutely be left alone and behind.
For us, the citizens of Salt Lake City and of all Utah, the choice should be pretty clear. We need the Rio Grande Plan for the state to succeed and for our city to go from being good to grand. The challenge now is to help our leaders and our politicians see things just as clearly. I'm Christian Lenhart. Thank you for watching.